Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
All right, welcome to episode 129 of the Trail Manners podcast. This one we're just going to simply call RUFA because we've got the pretty much, well, I'm not going to say the whole crew because I know there's a lot behind the scenes, but we got Tara Warren and Sherry Dreyer and then Jared Campbell. And you've all been on the show before, so this should be easy, right?
Thank you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
So
Happy to be back. Thanks.
This is the first time we've had three guests with their microphone by themselves, I think. Joel's not here today. Right now he's packing down snow for our Nordic Valley 7K because it was waist deep in areas. So that'll be shoulder deep to Joel. So he's packing that down right now to get that done. But we want to get together with Jared. We've had you on before to talk about RUFA. You have started this bad boy about this will be its 8th year, I think we decided, on some level, right?
Some level, yes. I started very informally, so yeah, it's grown up over the years.
It's grown up big time, really. I mean, yours is almost sold out in Salt Lake except for the 8-hour, and I think there's some 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. spots as we record this, so it might be getting fuller as this launches.
Yes, there are a few spots left in the 3 p.m. and the 11 p.m. There's quite a few spots left.
Okay, so. Good. Well, there's plenty of time, so if you want to run in Salt Lake, that's up Grandeur on February 9th, which is my dog's 4th birthday, so we got to celebrate that, Gunner. I love you, buddy. And then we also have the first year here in Ogden, Maylands, and that is Sherry and Tara. You guys are spearheading that. Am I saying this right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did all this work? Because we've always 8 years. Jared's been doing his. Colorado adopted one. This group at Suffer Better put one on last year, and now we've got the third one to pop up here in the mountainous states. How did this all go down? I want to hear the backstory.
Well, it really just all started with a message, I think, that I got through Instagram, I want to say.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of the fact that they both stepped out of the comfort zone to reach out and say, what do you think about growing the event? And I think the words were really, we love RUFA. We've come down for it every winter. We've driven down along with a bunch of people from Ogden. And, such a cool event. But at the same time, you've got a whole bunch of cars now on the road to get down to Salt Lake City. So what do you think about making a version of it that's closer home here in Ogden? And I said, without hesitation, absolutely. So I really appreciate the two of them stepping up to grow the event.
Awesome. Well, I mean, and we know them pretty well. So stepping out of their comfort zone, I'm not sure where that boundary is, right? I mean, they're pretty comfortable with things. They crush it on the trails and through social media. And real quick, for those that don't know, RUFA is Running Up for Air. That's what it stands for. So, and so how did you guys, is that kind of how it went out? You guys were out on a run one day and like, man, I really don't want to drive to Salt Lake this year. How do we do this, right?
Not so much not wanting to go. We just wanted to get more people involved. We love it. We've done it the last few years, and the way the race is set up is so different than other races. By going up and down, you continuously see the same people, give them a little, you can do it, keep it up, and but more importantly, the cause, the reason why is it's spectacular to get to the top of the peak and see what's down below, but it's also kind of daunting to see the smog below you, and you're literally running up for air this time of year.
Yeah.
So there's the smog, the inversion continues all the way up to us, and we'd like to bring awareness here in our part of the state as much as Salt Lake.
Cool.
I think it was even the first year we ran down in Grandeur. The whole time we were like, gosh, this is amazing, and it's a totally different type of terrain than we're, of course, used to up here in our little mountain range. But the elevation gain and then the amount of miles was so similar to what we run all the time on Maylands. And it's thinking, gosh, we could totally do something like this up here. I wonder if we could ever pull that off. And we talked about it a lot, I would say, just in between the seasons and when we could. And I think, it's a little daunting to try to even do something like this. And finally we just got the guts to make that call or to make that message and to get it going. And we're excited. We have a good base number of people coming out so far. We'd like to get that number up a little bit. And we're like Sherry said, we want to drive that message home to our community here in Ogden as well.
So, Jared, let's give people an example, because I don't even know Grandeur, from where you start and go to the top and turn around. For 2 questions. One, round trip, how many miles is it? And then what's the elevation gain for one peak?
Yeah, so, where we have it now, which it sort of starts and finishes in Mill Creek Canyon, which is on the southern side of Grandeur Peak, it's like 6 miles out and back, or to the top and back.
Okay.
So maybe a little bit more than that. And about 2,600 feet of gain, depending on where we have the aid station at the bottom. That's changed a little bit over time. It might change again this year. But roughly 2,600 feet of gain and about 6 miles.
And how about you guys? You guys are starting yours at 29th Street, the trailhead, is that right?
29th Street. So it's about 6 miles, give or take, an extra little loop in the parking lot or up at the top, take some pictures. But pretty much 6 miles, about, what did we decide, 23?
23. Yeah,
Okay.
23.
Yeah, 23.
Gotcha.
2,500.
So pretty similar, though.
Pretty similar.
I mean, really close as you're going to get for not forcing something, right? I mean, these are natural routes and natural terrain, so they're very, very similar. And let's jump into, Jared, how did RUFA start for you, right? I mean, this is going on for almost 8 years. We've had you on the show before, but give our listeners an idea why you started it and then what it's for.
Yeah, so it started in the winter of 2011. I had to be getting out there training in the middle of winter. It was December, and I had this pretty strict agenda of things I needed to do, mileage, vertical, this kind of thing. And in December, in January, that often means you're starting your runoff in absolutely terrible air, right? Just this last week we had, red air. It was 150 air quality index, which is really bad. And so if you're training and it's like I can't miss a day, you have to figure out how to deal with that, right? So you're starting at your car typically, in Salt Lake, and I bet up here as well. The trailheads are 5,000 feet, 5,500 feet, something like that. So it's you're literally just sort of suffocating in this incredibly poor air, and if you're trying to get vertical gain, you're climbing up. And it's just sort of this amazing experience to climb to that point, elevation-wise, where you can feel the temperature rise about 10 degrees because you're out of that thermal inversion now. And it just so happens that that layer is also where essentially the pollution dramatically fades away, right? And so if you're climbing up, you experience that and you see that, and once you're up above it, you have this unique perspective that you just don't get when you're down in the valley in your home, or in the climbing gym, and you just don't see it, Yeah. So the act of getting out there and ascending and being up above this, and then on the flip side, turn around and plunging back down into it, just provides you a perspective that like most people do not have.
Yep.
So as a trail runner trying to go up and down in the wintertime, I think it provides a cool perspective. So in that winter, I was going up and down a lot, and I was like, man, I'm out here a lot of alone time by myself. Can I turn this into something kind of cool? I'd have enough experience putting events on and participating in races that I'm like, this would be pretty weird. This would be kind of unique. I know there aren't very many trail races, with the exception of some of yours, I guess, in the middle of winter. But this could be cool. I love the process of running in the snow and in the winter. I feel like so much of my life is up high in cold conditions, looking down at the city and looking down at where I live. It could be kind of neat. It could be a complete flop too, but let's give it a try. That's kind of how it started. Was just that idea of, can I do something constructive with the training I was doing? And so it didn't immediately become an event or a race. It was more challenge me. Because I really, it was pretty clear at the time with the Forest Service I couldn't do a race on the west side at the time of Grandeur. And so, but I could say, challenge me. If you don't think I can run to the top, 10 times, place a bet.
Yep.
You know, $5 per summit. And I even said, like, if I don't, I'm going to make it to the top 10 times, and if I only make it 9 times, you don't have to, like, pay. And I made it to the top 10 times.
That's not a safe bet, betting against you on something like that.
Yeah, and so I think we raised, $4,000 or $5,000 that way, and it was really just a website and a little bit of, I'll be out there doing this, challenge me, and come join me too if you want. And that's really what RUFA was for, I think, the 3-ish years that we were on the west side of the peak. But it really caught on that first year. We had KSL show up in the news, and like between maybe lap 4 and 5, they were like, KSL's going to be here after your next lap, so when you come back in, be ready to jump in front of the camera.
Look
be
good,
on the,
do your
10
hair.
o'clock news, and I'm like, sure. Okay.
I feel like $1 million bucks.
I started to get a bit tired after that many laps on the west side, and so it was really funny trying to gain my composure so I could be in front of the camera. But yeah, and it was amazing to see the response from people. Breathe Utah, who we raised money for, thought it was. They still, I don't think, quite understand why athletes would bind together to do something like this. And I actually love seeing sort of the sense of gratitude they have with this. It's really cool. And turns out other people like going up trails at night as well.
Yeah. Well, I think you're tapped into the right community of people that do stuff like that. I mean, just being from the Ogden area as well, you'll see headlamps up on the peaks, middle of winter, middle of night. People, that's just what we do, right? I say we loosely because I'm usually not that person. But so how did Breathe, is it Breathe Utah?
Breathe Utah.
How did they get involved just through you then? They saw it, or did you reach out to them?
I reached out to them. I had a friend at the time. He was in the MD PhD program up at the University of Utah. He was doing pulmonology work at the time, and in addition to being just an amazing human, intelligent human, amazing athlete, he's also well connected with kind of the nonprofit mentality and groups just trying to better humanity, really. And so I reached out to him and I just said, if I could raise a few dollars and donate those to a group who would do good things with those dollars, who would you recommend? And without hesitation, he said, you got to go talk to Breathe Utah. In terms of like goodness for humanity per dollar, like they're the best. And so he gave me the name of the executive director at the time. I talked to her, said, let's go have lunch. She was really confused by what I was proposing. But she quickly realized this is really pretty cool. And they've become just, an integral part of the event, and I think they love the community of runners. They're confused by the community of runners, but they love them, and it's really cool.
So now I know we've been asked this just with our podcast too, so when you get the registration fees, because, this race is truly about raising money for awareness. There's not prizes and shirts and all that stuff, right? So it's just the money goes to...
That might change.
See, I like this. I like where we're going here. But what does the money go to? You hand the money over to them. What do they do essentially from there?
Yeah, Breathe's a pretty small group of people, really dedicated people who could go off and get big fancy jobs at lots of other places, and they've chosen to donate their time and effort and energy to this cause. That's what I love about them, actually, is any one of them could just leave and go take some corporate job, it seems like. And they've chosen to do this because they're so passionate about the movement of improving air quality. So the things that are most impressive to me is their educational outreach. So they've put together a program that both teaches students, but now they teach teachers so that those teachers can teach students. And I asked Debbie Siegman, who's their executive director now, I said, how many students have you contacted and reached out to? And that number's like 35 or 40,000 right now.
Wow.
Which is really cool. So in addition to trying to, I don't think the issue is something that's going to be solved today or even in the next year or two. I really think it's going to be something solved by like tomorrow's generation. So I know they see that vision, and the idea of training the youth of today to grow up and change, really make change, is an area that they focus. So there's the youth educational side of things, and then the legislative side too. They're really tapped into all the bills up on Capitol Hill here, and they're just professional and tactful with how they interact with lawmakers and companies. They're really skilled at that. Debbie's amazing. She's incredible. So anyway, those are probably the two main thrusts, is the education side. They do a lot of funding for research as well, and then the legislative side.
Nice.
Like an example of low-hanging fruit, they raised years ago, they realized, tons of studies have shown kind of the density of air pollution is highest right next to highways. That's probably a no-brainer. But then also like bus stops where kids jump on a school bus. You got this old diesel bus just with minimal regulations from years ago, and they discovered a kit that for a couple $1,000s can retrofit that diesel bus that's picking your children up off the side of the sidewalk. It can cut the tailpipe pollutants by like 98%.
Holy cow.
And so they went and got huge funding to go retrofit a bunch of school buses. That's a low-hanging fruit.
Wow.
In terms of pollutants in the valley.
But that's still pretty, it might be low-hanging fruit, but it starts to make that difference, though, right? So it's just like, hey, we check that off the list. It's going to make a difference for the air. Maybe it's minimal right now, because there's definitely some bigger issues out there. But so when people register, they can know that most of their funds go straight to this type of project, education, whatever is in the pipeline, I guess, at that time.
Yeah.
Cool. And then now so there's some people, I know people that don't run, that don't hike, that breathe air, right? There's a few of them out there.
A few of us.
Yeah. So is there any way they can help? People that aren't interested or maybe can't run, besides just showing up and cheering, is there any donation things that people can do?
Yeah, absolutely. My first step I would recommend people take is to educate themselves a bit more on it, rather than just sign up for the race. Sure, do that if you want, but make yourself more informed on the topic and understanding how the decisions you make in your life affect air quality, and that comes down to the way we live, the way we commute, the way we drive, the way we, all sorts of
warm
decisions
up our car in the
about
morning.
Our lives, really.
Yeah.
So step one is just educate yourself, I'd say, and then, Breathe is a great resource online to. They're highly skilled at distilling the message down to something that a non-PhD person can understand. So there's really good content out there. So go to breatheutah.org, read up on it. See, turn around and reflect on what that might mean to you and the impact you might be making, and then think about changes you could make in your life in terms of how your really everything you do in life affects it ultimately.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a link on the website, like you said, on Running Up for Air, so you can go over there. But they have that bullet point-ish stuff. The layman's terms are things I can understand as myself, which is a big, and it's pretty interesting stuff too. Because I spent a little time on there last night. No one else coming on the show, but it's kind of eye-opening a little bit. And then anybody can look at that list and go, oh, I could probably cut that back, or I could probably do something better here, or, we have enough kids, there's carpooling involved, and, public transit or whatever it might be. So.
Public transit, there's things you could take and push at your work, wherever you might work. Where I work, our kind of leadership has gotten on board. We have a whole row now of electric stations for charging. It's like a perk for employees, and it's grown tremendously. Everybody can and should push their things like initiatives like that where they work. That would make a huge difference.
Well, and I know I don't know if I was reading on that website, but like companies that provide benefits for the employees, bad air can give you bad health. So in turn, you're kind of helping your costs when you got healthy employees, right? So businesses can save money by installing some of these programs.
Yeah. And not just saving money, I will say I work for a pretty big company, and we are always talking about recruiting and retention, right? How do you draw in some of the best talent? And one of the number one reasons people turn us down if they do in the end is the bad air, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
not just a health thing anymore. From a corporation standpoint, it really affects your ability to pull in top talent. So it's a big deal.
And, to me, a little bit, it's embarrassing because of where we live. We all love it here. That's why we're here. And it's beautiful. And there's so much to do in the outdoors. But every year, you get those reports that come out, dirtiest air and all this stuff. And, boy, we rank right there, don't we? It's embarrassing a little bit to me, I think, when people are like, oh, you're breathing that air? You're going outside? I'm like, well, I kind of have no choice.
The leading story on the 10 o'clock news, both Monday and Tuesday, was about the air quality on all the networks, because I was curious as I was watching one, and I flipped all the others, and it was about the red air quality. And it just reminded me again of why we're doing this, and it makes so much sense. As an athlete, as a mom, as someone who's worried about what their kids are going to grow up in 10, 15 years, it's super important to me. And I thought about that even the first year I ran that down in Grandeur. it's hard. Or ran meaning hike, but it's hard to keep going back up the mountain. It's hard, but it was almost touching to me to know that I was actually making even just the smallest difference by, contributing or whatever to this event, because it was a group that was really out there working hard to make an impact. And that's what we're hoping to do. And I've seen Jared do with the last couple of years he's put this on.
Well, it's not only, what you're all saying, but it's amazing to me still the people that don't realize we have bad air in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Like people just I don't want to say they just don't pay attention to it, whether it's not something sometimes you can visibly see. It's like, oh, it's foggy today. And it's like, no, that's not fog. That's some bad stuff. But there's a lot of people that live in this bad air quality that don't realize really how bad it is.
They don't realize that if they drive up and over to the mountain or a ski resort, it's blue skies and 10 degrees warmer. And our kids notice the difference. My kids ask me all the time, you noticeably see the difference in the air, and they ask what's going on or why it looks a certain way. And we have to have that talk all the time when that gross fog sets in. And along with Breathe Utah and their education side of it is our children are watching what we do and how we treat the place that we live. And just me talking to my kids about this race, it's brought awareness just in our home about what else we can do to change, and the things that they see themselves and the friends around us and just everybody, what we can kind of challenge ourselves to fix. So it's little things. It's all the little things. So you can get your family involved in the race as well. You don't have to do multiple ups and downs if you just bring the kids and do one summit.
One hike.
Yeah.
It's totally doable.
Let's hike up to the pond. If you're up here in Ogden, hike to the pond, hike to the spring.
It's fun too.
Yeah.
And
a good day.
And it is, we've all witnessed it as well as many listeners. When you do break through that nastiness to the top, there's two things that hit my mind all the time. One is, oh my gosh, it is amazing up here because it's blue. The air's click. You can just taste the difference. Yeah. But then you glance down a little bit and then your heart drops a little. You're like, oh man, it's like that two reactions you get. It's like beautiful, you're euphoric, all this, it's beautiful, and you look down like, oh man, here we go again. It's like it's brown, it's ugly, it's just
taste it.
You really
that
can.
happened to us on Monday.
Yep.
When the air quality was really, really bad, and we were summiting Monday Maylands.
Uh-huh.
We do that every Monday, is head up there early in the morning, and we were in just the grossest, thickest, you could taste it, cloud. And
it was dark.
You were breathing heavier. Our heart rate was high, and then you get above it, you breathe differently, and it was very, very obvious when we got through that thick, cottony, gross layer.
So, Jared, tell me a little bit about RUFA this year, numbers-wise. You're selling out, which has got to be rewarding. You got to feel good about that. You do have a couple time slots we mentioned that are still available, but what kind of numbers are you looking at down there this year?
As far as participants in the event, well, interestingly, that hasn't really changed since we've been a permitted event. We did fill up really fast, which from a putting the event on standpoint is so nice to fill up fast. Yeah. That was not the case last year, so it's cool to see the response be so fast. But in terms of filling up, we have 40 people that start the 24-hour.
Okay.
So the tricky thing with an out and back course like this on a single track trail is you could quickly oversubscribe the trail, if you know what I mean, and it would not be fun, right?
Yep.
I think we hit a pretty good sweet spot right from out of the gates in terms of the head count. So we have 40 people that start at 6 a.m., 24-hour. An hour later, we start the 12-hour. I think it's 45 people we start for the 12-hour, and then 40 people an hour after that. So we stagger the start times just to spread the people out on the trail. At any point in time, that makes like 125-ish people that are out there. That's actually what the permit is for. But then, given that the 6-hour event is only 6 hours, after that we start another one. So it's a way for us to enable more people to participate in the shorter event, get more people out there, but limit the number of feet on the trail.
Gotcha.
So,
and I think it's a good idea too, because I wouldn't have thought of it from that standpoint. Being a runner and even a race director, I wouldn't have thought of. I would think, oh, it's nice that people don't have to start at 8 a.m. Those people that have kids events in the morning can start at 3, or whatever they've got going on during the holidays, during their Saturdays, they can kind of pick and choose their start time. And I think Sherry and they've said it before is you don't have to do multiple trips, right? Like you don't have to be this phenomenal athlete and think, I got to go up and down this thing 4 times. One trip is worth it, really, and it's fun. So anybody can come out to bring your family, hike up, you can be a part of something big, but also cheer people on. I mean, that's kind of the fun. That's kind of why we do it as well, is just to kind of see people do things. So,
and I think feel good about having a voice to try to make the change.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of just, neighborhood friends want to come out and participate. Maybe aren't runners, but they hear it's running up for air, and they're a little intimidated by the group of that. And, by no means is this just runners, come up and, shuffle up for air. We've heard a couple ones like that, like, scoot up for air. That might be. Mine's just gonna be a slow walk up
for air. I'm just gonna take my time.
The trail clear for us.
Yeah,
scoot up.
Yeah.
So whatever you got, bring it, and support the cause, because we're all dealing with it here. Like I said, it was the main topic on the news for several nights, and it'll continue to be until we make a dent in it.
Well, I know that it's a main topic for a lot of people I know that just want to do the race. Like, they look forward to this every year. I mean, again, I'm not going to keep saying it's a race, because it's, at the end of the day, it's how many times you can go up, go down. But I know people have that internal challenge with themselves. Like, I'd like to go up, like, I'll do the 6 hour, and I'm hoping for three to the top, which, isn't impossible, but could be. Yeah. I'm bringing a sled so I can just scoot down a little quicker. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to get disqualified.
Backside of it. Yeah.
But it's just a good time for people to get together, because as what we do as runners, some of the fun things we talk about on the show all the time is when you go to a race and you see your friends, because you don't see them that often, right? So wintertime's kind of that lull. And that way I don't have to just focus on, I just got to see my family for Christmas. And I was like, I can see my friends now during the holiday season too, which could be more exciting. So it's just a great time. And year after year, I just hear how much people enjoy the event and enjoy being a part of it. Because there's snow, it's cold, you can throw whatever you want in there. But at the end of the day, everybody's smiling. I saw so many pictures last year more than ever, and just people were ear-to-ear smiles the whole time. And you draw a pretty good crowd too.
Yeah.
Joel was timing last year, right?
That's right.
We'd go give Joel a high five every time we came back in.
I remember that. He said he was getting what did he say last year? He was kind of getting confused and tried to focus, so he was wasn't giving high fives to people and felt bad later.
He did.
And
I was going to bring that up.
Oh, I will.
He was very focused.
He's not here. We can say whatever we want.
Oh, good.
I don't think he listens to the podcast, so we're safe. We're totally safe.
He's doing a good job. Doing his job.
That's right. He is. He's doing a good little job. But for the race in Ogden, we still have spots for every event, right? So there are a couple different categories in Ogden, am I right? So in Ogden, we've got a 6 hour. There's an 8 a.m., 3 p.m., and 11 p.m. start. Mm-hmm. The 12-hour event, we have a 24-hour solo and a 24-hour 4-person relay and a 24-hour 8-person relay. Did I get that right?
That's true.
Okay, perfect. Now, here's the question I have. The 6 hour, 11 p.m., is that an 11 p.m. Saturday night start?
That is.
Okay, because I've been asked that. Like, was that 11 p.m. you start on Friday night? I'm like, I don't think so. I think you start that time. Now, can someone sign up for the 8 a.m. 6 hour and the 11 p.m. 6 hour if they need lunch break?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I might not do that, so I'm just throwing that out there. So the numbers, there's slots open for every category on the Ogden side, right?
Yeah. We had our expectations a little bit different than the Salt Lake group this year, being our first year.
Uh-huh.
And Forest Service in Ogden was a little...
They still don't know why we're doing this. They still
really?
are questioning why people are going up a mountain in the cold the middle of winter.
There's no reason. Then even, you think about it, even after the little 3 to 4 inches of snow we had the last 24 hours, immediately our mountain and our trails here in Ogden were packed down.
Yeah.
Immediately. I didn't even have to wonder. I went out and it was the most outstanding day yesterday. And that's the kind of crowd we have up here. And, I'm hoping that this reaches some of them and they'll go ahead and pull the trigger and make that happen, because there are people out there all the time. So with the 6 hour events, we have a 25-person max in each of the groupings.
Man, I was hoping smaller. I want to finish top 10 in the 8 a.m., but I think there's 12 registered, so
there are. Yep.
I got to run hard.
And we actually have a really big turnout for the 24-hour. We're really excited about this. And Sherry and I are also very nervous because we're going to be up all night.
We get kind of goofy when we're tired, so that's either good or bad.
It's good and bad.
Well, because what we want to do, we want people to show up to these events for trail management. We've been talking about it on our podcast. Last week, we had our gift guide episode for what to get the runner in your life or yourself if you want to just, treat yourself a little bit, pamper yourself. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually buy a 6-hour ticket, I guess, for the Malin's one in Ogden. So you can choose the 8, 3, or 11. We're going to have a contest and give that away. So we'll buy it. You just got to show up. We'll announce what that contest is soon. But the other cool thing about this is that we're right down to the nick of it. We're, by the time this show launches, we're,
7 weeks.
No, I mean from Christmas.
From Christmas.
We're like a week away.
Right. Yeah, you
so all you procrastinators, you can
Christmas.
actually buy, and you could just, have someone that you want to see run this. So you're, some people during the holidays say we're going to donate, $50 to your name to the ASPCA, whatever, right? Well, this is something is exactly the same, but this you can donate to your friend. Like I could register Joel and say, Joel, Merry Christmas. Here's your gift. You're doing RUFA, right? Because you have time. This registration closes the 26th of January, so this would be a great Christmas present to a fellow runner or yourself.
And he'd be ready by then.
He's been skiing, and he's probably more ready than I am.
fine.
I've just been lifting weights we're at the front climbing gym in Ogden. I've just been trying to lift weights here. I don't even run anymore. But this would be a great way to donate and also get someone some exercise, right?
That's awesome. Very good.
And how many spots do you have left in Salt Lake for the 3 and the 11 p.m.? You've got your computer, and we always, every time we talk about you on the podcast, we bring up how well you are at spreadsheets, by the way.
Good. Yeah, I want to be known for that. You're not
He's
the only one who
pretty
makes fun of me.
We can.
We're not making fun of you because I'm a huge,
Really good at it.
I'm a huge spreadsheet guy, and Joel gives me crap for it. I have more spreadsheets in front of me than I need.
Yeah.
I just like this.
Organization.
Yeah, totally.
Life is better with spreadsheets.
Oh yeah, sock spreadsheet, so I know what socks I got. You name it.
So we have 5 spots open for the 3 p.m. and then quite a few on the 11 p.m. at this point. They'll go fast. I mean, it's really interesting. Just like today, another 5 or 10 people have signed up. So something's happening. It's really interesting. I predict that once there will be this like really rapid domino effect of people coming in to fill those last spots. So if you're thinking about it, get on the ball here. We've got some really fun, strong runners coming in too from outside of Utah.
I was going to say, let's name some of them because I think that's really cool. Because I mean, this again is not like a quote unquote race, and we'll get to some other specifics in a little bit. But name some of the names that people would recognize because that's what I'm looking forward to is seeing some of the people that are coming.
Yeah.
So how about Salt Lake? Who's Salt Lake bringing in?
So Darcy Pecue, who's just absolutely incredible, is coming. She's going to run the 24-hour. Eric Storheim, local hard man, super strong. Let's see, I'm kind of looking down the list right now. We've got strong people in all categories here.
You've got Miss Claire Gallagher.
Claire Gallagher is going to come out. Yeah, Leah Yingling, she's from Salt Lake.
Yeah.
She's incredible. Stacy Pearson, amazing, strong runner, climber. She's awesome. She is one of the co-holders of the world record for the women, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Is that right?
Super awesome to see her sign up. Alexis Krellin, who also holds the record on the world for the women. So they're doing, the 12-hour at the 8 a.m. Let's see. Yeah, we've got Mike McMonigal, who's coming out. We've got some great people. And then up here in Ogden, Joe Grant signed up for the 24-hour. Kyle Richardson, many people might not know him, but he is an upcoming just rock star. So if you think...
What one's he doing, 24, 12?
24, yeah.
Okay, good.
So
now he's not only doing the 24, but he's turning around the next day, and there's a sister event going on, and he's going to be climbing here at the front for another 8 hours.
So I'm going to do 24 hours here, RUFA Ogden, and then I'll turn around and do climbing up for air.
Isn't Joe Grant doing that as well?
The two of them are.
Yeah.
So that'll be a really interesting double. As our sport sort of morphs into more technical stuff, we're merging and fusing together running and climbing. So come test yourself against those folks. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
So when you say test yourself, let me throw this at you.
It's not like treat yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
so
test yourself.
there's a lot of course records up for grabs in Ogden this year, right? Because we don't have any. So this is going to be
That's true.
right?
That's true.
Well,
So this will be the first year.
We
So
think we do, but
no, that's not
That's
official.
another topic.
So for Salt Lake, off the top of your head, do you know, like for like the 24, 12, and 6, what are some numbers? Like I would say
13 laps is the most that's been done in Salt Lake.
was that
for
you?
the 12
Or that-
hour
was that your
I
own?
did 13, yeah, and then last year 2 other people did 13.
for the 24 hour.
And then for the 12, let's see. I should know, but I want to say it's like 8 laps that have been done there. Let's see. Luke did 7 last year, so 7 might be the max for 12 hours.
Oh, you
So
forgot
that's
to mention Luke.
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, yeah, Luke
Luke's
is coming back.
coming.
Sorry for all those people I left out
off.
there.
That's why it's hard to do that. You just leave
Yeah,
them off.
I need to come better prepared when you ask me these questions, Joel, about records and such, because it's fun actually to torment Luke a bit because I think he listens to this. And last year I
Right.
laid down the gauntlet, and
Luke does listen to this.
it's really fun to watch him just go out insanely hard and like.
He's
blow up.
having fun though the whole time.
He
Every
is.
time you run by him on the trail, because we've done this a few times, and he's always out there, and yeah,
Just happy.
he's running hard. He's having
Yeah,
fun.
I think on the podcast last time I challenged him. He was signed up for the 6 hour, and I was trying to get him. You know, I said I think someone can do 5 laps, which I think works out to an hour 12 per lap. And he was on an hour 12 laps for like 3 laps, and then just like exploded. But then
How could
still
he
had
not?
fun all the way to
Yeah,
the end.
exactly.
So I mean, I definitely think
incredible.
14 laps can be done for the 24 hour. I think
How many did Shalise?
8 laps should be done in 12.
yeah,
It's
women. I think it
possible.
was Shalise and,
Shalise.
Shalise
and
last
Sylvia
year.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jenilyn's done 11 in 24 hours.
Sylvia signed up for Ogden.
Sylvia's
She's
in Ogden,
coming
yeah.
up for Ogden.
So in the
So-
24 hour, if they're doing that many laps, that's roughly 78 miles and 33, almost 34,000 feet
Yeah,
of
it's
gain.
about a hard rock of gain, I'd say. When it was on the west side, you could get a lot more gain. Actually.
Wow.
12 laps on the west side was 40,000 feet of gain, and
Wow.
but it's much steeper and more abrupt, so it's a little different game on the Church Fork side of things. But
What about
yeah.
the other, like we'll say the 6 hour? What's
yeah, I'm just kind of looking at last year. We had, let's see, 4 laps done last year in 5:20, so there was 40
Wow.
minutes still left on the clock.
wow,
So
plenty of time.
someone should be able to get 5 in. That's, I think, the elusive target there in the 6 hours to get 5. It's going to be
Do you
challenging.
think someone could do that this year by looking at people that are doing it? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think it depends on what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
What the
what's
train
going
looks
on
like,
with
too.
the
Weather.
and-
really depends on the weather. So
Yeah.
like we were cursed the first probably 4 or 5 hours. Cursed in a good way because I actually love plowing up the snow. But actually a little bit of history. The first year we did RUFA, again it was pretty informal, and the Breathe folks, I said, hey, we're going to start 6 a.m. on this day, and it dumped like a foot and a half the night before. And I'm getting texts like, you don't have to do this. We can reschedule. And I'm like,
That's not how
hell
it
no, we're
works.
doing this. And yeah, it's not how it works exactly. And so fortunately that year I had a little small army that met me. I had maybe 8 people or so join us, and it was almost like backcountry ski touring where maybe you take turns laying in the skin track. We were taking turns laying the track in, and I would say it took 2 or 3 laps before like it started to be a good track.
Wow.
But those first 3 laps can be really hard.
Oh, I can imagine.
And yeah, so you never know. Last year, 2018 RUFA Salt Lake, it was bizarre. It was like the spring running. It was literally dry pavement up the picnic area,
Yeah.
and then dry dirt till like 7,000 feet. So it was a really fast,
Day.
good course that year. But yeah,
The course changes too depending on how much snow. I
Yeah,
remember
the-
a couple years
the very
ago
top
we
of
went
it.
up the very front steep part instead of around
Yeah.
the back. So
Oh, right.
yeah,
people had to really climb up the front of it.
Yeah.
That felt a lot steeper than
Much
going around the
steeper, yeah.
backside.
but more direct.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
It's
exactly,
like pick your
right.
poison. But it's really cool. So yeah, it really depends on the amount of snow that we have. You never know what you're going to get at RUFA, but we hold it regardless.
That's awesome.
Blizzard, heat,
Yeah.
whatever.
Heat wave.
It was genuinely. It can be genuinely warm, like on
Really?
the south-facing side of that peak when you're heading up the trail.
Well,
And
especially
then
if
just
doing all the work.
really cold at night too. So
So for people running, would you recommend, I mean, people have asked about poles and traction, whether it's screws in their shoes or yak tracks or some type of device. Do you tell them to bring it just in case, or do you say it's going to be, you should be all right?
I mean, I'm not really a traction kind of guy myself.
Yeah.
But definitely, I say bring everything, bring the whole kitchen sink, especially if you're running 24 hours and if there's a chance of weather. It's entirely possible that you might want a new change of clothes for every lap or every couple laps, and if you're doing, lots of laps. So people show up with these huge duffels now, which is good.
Big army duffels full of just whatever.
Which is wise.
For the Salt Lake race, do they shuttle to the start then?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would just have to bring everything with them, and then they have there, and at the base there's like the aid station where there's supplies and stuff to drink and food. What about on top? Do they have stuff on top?
On top, it's a pretty minimalist aid station.
Okay.
They
we
give
have
you a fireball. That's all you get, and then they send you For real.
Yeah, so pretty, we make sure we have the important things at the top.
Keep you nice and warm.
Yeah, but it's, everything is literally carried up there on the backs of amazing volunteers. By the way, that's another way to participate, If you want to run the race, great. Yeah. But in many ways, it's far harder to volunteer, especially, I'm more exhausted putting the thing on than I am doing it if I'm running the race. So, yeah, people can volunteer as well. We should put that plug out there.
Please, we'd love it. Absolutely.
So if someone was interested in volunteering, where do they go? Where do they email? Do they?
Well, for us, get a hold of Sherry and I. Easy to find us on Instagram. We've had so many people reach out.
Well, that was my first thing to you when I found out. I'm like, I'll volunteer. And then you were she kind of like pushed me off.
That's right.
She's like, And I was like,
sign
what?
Up. That's what we've just
and
been
so I
telling
just signed
people,
up.
sign up.
I'm like, the heck with that. I'll just sign up then.
Yep. We're like, sign up, and then we'll.
My feelings hurt for like an hour. I was just cuddled up with my pillow going, they don't want me to help. But yeah, so you can volunteer, so you can hit Instagram or with Sherilyn or Tara, and then what about for the Salt Lake one?
Yeah, so email us at info@runningupforair.com. And you can do that for Ogden as well. In fact, I've got a number of folks wanting to volunteer. I need to connect with the two of you. But while this may seem like a simple event on the surface, like one spot at the bottom, a spot at the top, it's always amazing what goes on behind the scenes to put on any race.
Still a 24-hour
24-hour and then winter, like February. That makes it really hard. And in fact, we almost need to put in place like a filtering, screening process for volunteers, especially like the summit of Grandeur at least.
I had some friends volunteer one year. They stayed up there overnight.
Yeah.
Curtis Thompson and Corey Vigil, I think.
I mean, we have by the way, like 8, maybe 10 people, depending on how much stuff we bring up this year, carry each of them between 50 and 70 pounds on their back the night before up to the top. And then 2 people stay there just so that we make sure we have somebody there for the first runners on Saturday morning. But, the volunteers are amazing. We have
some good people lined up for the first 12 hours up top. They're already planning on bringing all of the supplies to the top, and they're excited to help out.
So with the Ogden one, walk us through this. It starts at 29th Street. Do they park there? And they just park in there?
Yeah.
Right?
We suggest that they carpool from Ogden, downtown Ogden. There's plenty of places they could meet up. There is a church and a school right off of
27th and Polk.
Yeah.
There's a school and a church.
So carpool up to 29th if you can, right?
Yeah.
And then 29th is where it starts. So is that going to kind of the same setup, going to be kind of the mothership, the aid station there?
Yeah.
And then you're just going to go up to Malin's, and there'll be people hanging out up there doing snow angels and stuff, helping you out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
and if needed, maybe we'll have a couple of court marshals. No, how about course?
I like that
course
marshals.
Yeah. And some court marshals, just to see like if people veer off. Like it'll be marked, right? But you never know on a race day.
Well, because there are some spider trails.
There are a few different ways to
29th.
get up there. Yeah. So, but people have already asked us about that. The course is on Running Up for Air on the website, and we'll for sure have it marked.
Do you guys still need more volunteers for the Ogden races as well?
Absolutely. Just send us a message either through even on Ultra Sign Up. It'll come directly to us, or the website Running Up for Air, or through Instagram, whatever. Just let us know. We'll put you somewhere.
We always need help with cooking food down at the trailhead, different things like that, helping people stay
What are you going to
warm.
be cooking? Just because now you're talking my
Quesadillas?
language. Quesadillas?
Quesadillas?
I'm in.
What's the request? We'll take care of it.
You shouldn't open that door. Your email box just got
Sherry's
flooded.
gonna spearhead that.
Yep, you're going to have everybody. You got the gluten-free, the
Right.
celiac
Oh, yeah,
division, the
that's-
vegetarian
Yep.
division. You guys are going
Yeah,
to get
the
loaded
pickle
up
juice.
pretty good. Yep.
Crew. Yep.
Jared, what off the top of your head, or maybe you have it with you, do you have any idea roughly how much has been raised over the past 8 years? If you had to guess, even.
No, I would bet around probably $50,000 maybe
Really?
total.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's about to really ratchet up. So one thing, when I put this together and realized after a few years, like, wow, this is kind of cool, and this actually really does help Breathe Utah. And it's funding that they are now counting on. It's like almost in the budget.
It's part of
they
the
can plan based on,
That's
which is
awesome.
really cool. Knowing that that's an integral part of them staying afloat is really kind of neat to me. But at the same time, I was always like, how do we do more with this? Because I don't want to raise the entry fee to hundreds of dollars kind of thing. In fact, in many ways, we charge an entry fee that allows us to put the event on, and then we reach out to other entities that want to be sort of bigger, more involved sponsors. But anyway, it occurred to me this year when Tara and Sherry reached out to me and said, "Can we put on a version in Maylands?" And last year, folks in Colorado said, "Can we put on a version in Colorado?" That's how the event's going to make a difference. Actually, is scaling it that way. I can't have 1,000 people come run up Grandeur Peak. I just don't want that many people.
Yeah.
So, through people reaching out to me is where I realized that's how it'll make an impact, and that's how it'll grow in terms of its ability to support Breathe Utah, is other events popping up. And I really only see it going further too. We all live in the same soup down here, whether you're in Ogden or Provo or Salt Lake or even Cache County area. We're all in Lake Bonneville, or what used to be Lake Bonneville.
You need to have
So it's
Browning
fitting.
open one up there.
It's fitting that RUFA touch a lot of these kind of major areas along the Wasatch Front, I think. So I hope to see it really grow.
So are you open for that, to where it grows in other places?
Yeah.
So if someone listening, because I know a lot of our listeners, and I know off the top of my head there's 3 or 4 going, I want to do that.
Yeah.
What would you say before they even contact you to kind of have, lined up or some ideas? Hey, this is what it would take if they were interested. What would you tell them right now?
Yeah. I guess I will say, with the Ogden thing taking off, it's like it occurred to me that we really need to have one in Provo, and I'd really love to have one in Logan area as well. And there could be more, but those seem like major, hubs here along the Wasatch Front. Make sure you've got a really good sort of network of friends to pull on for coordinating it all with volunteers, because I know the two of you are so well connected that'll work. And in Salt Lake, we've got a amazing group of people who've taken this event under their wing too. So, that's the number one thing, right? And then having a venue or a site or a place to put on the event. I love the notion of, the 3 mile up kind of thing, with, a healthy amount of gain. It'd be a shame. RUFA can't be a flat course ever.
No.
Nope.
It's got to be.
No.
There's got to be some pain on
Yeah,
the
it
time.
definitely has to be a bit
What would
of
that
pain
be?
there.
Staying in the air?
But, I suspect
Coughing in the
there's
air.
tons of options, right? In Provo, you've got, Squaw Peak would be a really cool place to have it, or Y Mountain or something like that. I'll plant the seed for any people in Provo who are thinking about it. But I'd love to see it grow, and I'd love to have people reach out to me on how to make that happen. The great thing for me about the Ogden event is, we have awesome discussions about how to keep, consistency across the events, but I just have the utmost confidence that it's going to be, conducted in the right way.
Oh boy.
So,
That's a lot of pressure.
when Jared Campbell
Ladies.
says that, yeah. Oh, boy.
yeah.
Glad I'm not sitting in those 2 chairs.
Well, and I don't have.
We better have a meeting after
Yeah.
this, Sherry.
Yeah.
We need a new spreadsheet.
I'll volunteer.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. We all live at the foothills,
Yep.
and a suitable course. Think through the logistics of getting people to the trailhead. I actually think in many ways the Ogden Maylands Peak is probably better than grandeur, at least the way we do it today, because we have to do a shuttle system, and it's a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
And so I love the notion of the 29th Street, right there at the base. No shuttle necessarily needed.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully, as long as people are responsible about that.
Well, and I think just email them, let them know. I
Especially
think
with an
people are
event like
pretty
this,
good.
I'd hope they'd be
yeah.
conscious of the driving situation.
I'll just run there. I'm
Yeah,
going to run
there
there
you
for
go.
my warm-up.
Well,
Yeah.
shout out to the Haslams who will be running from their home to
Nice.
There you
RUFA.
Okay, well, then I want to do that.
A lot of those. So.
Jared, Just Domingo might be doing the same thing.
Same, yeah.
He
Bunch
lives
of-
right there on the foothills.
All right.
He
so
said he might go home and take a nap in between his 24-hour laps.
come back. It's a
Yep.
good idea. A little freshener. Now, before we shift, we're going to shift gears real quick to touch on something. Is there anything that I haven't covered that you guys want to make sure the people out there know? Because, number one, this is an awesome event. And think about it. Most of you listening to this podcast, especially in this area, are going to run Saturday anyway, most likely. So why not do it for a good cause? Even if you only have time for one lap. It's seriously, it's $40 for a 6-hour one. You can put in for the contest. I'll announce that later. But you're already out there, right? Let's kind of pay it forward and help, like Jared said, that future, that next generation of people that are coming up to solve the problem, I guess. What else do we need to make sure we hit on this before we transfer into the ones with your hands?
Oh, well,
gonna
two
spoil
things
it.
came to my mind. First, if you're on the waiting list for Salt Lake and you want to make sure you're running, we have lots of room for you. It's a
Yep.
carpool up, and we'll get you taken care of. And we might even do a preview run for those who haven't been at Malin's before the actual event date. I've had some requests for that. And also, I forgot it.
All the money goes to the same place,
Oh,
too.
that's right.
So
Yes, we're not making anything off this.
Yeah.
This is just for Breathe Utah. So this
Yeah.
isn't to line pockets or to, help us get new gear or anything like that. This is strictly going to Breathe Utah, and that's what this is all about.
yeah, so it doesn't matter which one you do.
Doesn't matter.
So if you've done
Nope.
Salt Lake before, come on
You
down.
live closer
do
to Ogden,
Malin's.
don't
Yeah.
drive down to Salt Lake.
And Malin's is awesome.
Try this one
And,
out.
I mean, both locations. Both locations are awesome. So I think
Yeah.
that's what makes it just that much funner. Both of them are kind of iconic in their own areas, right?
Yeah. Another thing to say too, Breathe. If maybe it was implied, but they are a 501c3. It's a tax write-off. If we're in December, you're thinking about the end of the year and your taxes. Great time to make a donation. So when you become part of RUFA and you do that through a donation to them directly, it's a great thing, from a tax perspective too. So think about that. It's not going. If you sign up for the event, obviously some of that money goes to putting the event on, but
Yeah.
any
Food permits.
any spare penny that we have left over at the end goes to Breathe. Or you can donate directly to them, which we also encourage. And then one thing I was thinking of, on Saturday, if it's not your thing to go run on the trails, think about volunteering, right? And to the point we made before, we need folks to show up in your warm clothes and be willing to cook quesadillas. I mean, to be a DJ, to help out runners. There's lots of things. You don't have to be a runner to participate in this necessarily. And then if you decide you just don't want to bundle up and go be out there either running or volunteering for RUFA, you can also come down to either of the front climbing gyms in Ogden or Salt Lake, and we'll have sort of live cast up on a screen at either facility imagery from the runners themselves and the volunteers up there via sort of hashtags, but you'll be able to get a feel for what's going on.
That's super cool.
If you want to go to the comfort of an air-conditioned building, you can do that. And then at the front facilities on Saturday during the running event, there will also be booths set up by Breathe Utah with people talking and educating,
Awesome.
sharing what they do. So if I just scratched the surface on some of the good things that they do, but you can come learn directly from the folks at Breathe more about what they do.
That's awesome.
So it's a way to participate, to learn, feel like you're part of the event through seeing pictures. That's another way to be part of it as well.
And we definitely encourage everybody out there to spread the word, right? I mean, you might be listening to this podcast, you might see it online, but how many running people do you know that you could just let them know that they may have not seen it, right? They may be busy with ugly sweater runs, Santa 5Ks. So let them know, hey, did you guys check this out? This is really cool. So spread the word. I mean, that's how these things grow. That's how they get bigger. And I really want to see, more at the Ogden event. Ogden, don't let me down. Or nearby Ogden. I might, checking the dates, I might even have a floor you could stay on the night before if you're worried about that. I might open that up.
We've actually had some people ask about that, so we might be sending some people your way.
Well, let me screen them first, okay? Because I don't want to be lampshade by Sunday. Okay? Anything weird. And we kind of talked about it. So another really cool thing is, so we got RUFA running up for air. Mm-hmm. Now we have climbing up for air, and is that going to be pronounced Kufa?
Kufa.
Sure.
Okay, because I don't know, it's Sufa, climbing, Kufa. So I'm going to go Kufa. All right. So there's going to be an event Sunday, the day after the RUFAs at the front in Salt Lake and the front in Ogden.
Correct.
And we're at the front climbing gym in Ogden right now, and it's an awesome place. But so tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's really cool. Like you're saying, there's this natural marriage between climbers, trail runners, skimo, those kind of things are kind of morphing into everybody does them now, right?
Yeah. So they did it last year. So the front was a lot like Tara and Sherry this year. The front reached out to me and said, "We love what you're doing, and we want to do something similar. We want to help the cause. What do you think about a climbing event?" And I said, "Love it." Yeah. And this was just a few weeks before, actually. It was amazing what they were able to scrap together. I couldn't believe it. Now, sadly, I didn't get to see it because last year, or 2018, it took place the same day.
Okay.
But there were, how many people did they say showed up? 250 people?
Yeah.
250 people, which blows my mind.
Just to the Salt Lake.
Just to Salt Lake, yeah.
And we've added Ogden. They've added Ogden this year.
Yeah, and then it's 8 hours. I think it starts at 10 a.m. They go to 6 p.m., and as many climbs as you can do, whether that's top rope or lead. I understand that 2 boulder problems translates to 1 pitch. But yeah, it's this endurance climb-a-thon, which is really interesting. And so they'll be doing that at Salt Lake and as well as Ogden. There will also be a 4-hour event in addition to the 8-hour. So if you don't have the fitness for 8 hours of climbing routes, or boulder problems, then there's a 4-hour version as well. The other neat thing, though, and I'm really, really excited about this, is that we will be doing after the climbing up for air, so 10 a.m. Sunday, so the day after RUFA, we'll go for 8 hours, and then we're going to do an awards ceremony, combined awards ceremony at the front. So for all the runners, it gives you time to sleep a little bit, get cleaned up, and then come down to the front for a little awards ceremony. It'll be 30 minutes after the climbing event is over, and we'll get to recognize the climbers and runners, which will be super cool. It'll be fun, food, drink.
Wow. Now, is there going to be more information on that for the runners so they know more,
Yeah.
like through emails and stuff, like what it's about, what time it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this might be, depending on when this kind of goes live, the first time people hear about it. Mm-hmm. Behind the scenes, the 3 of us are working really closely with the folks at the front to coordinate all that. But
we'll update the website.
Yeah.
We'll get that on there as well as soon as we get all of the logistics worked out.
And we're going to, for the Trail Manners podcast, we'll be talking about it and have links on our especially on our Thursday single track sessions. But this is, okay, so I hate to do this to you, Jared, because I know how you're going to receive this, but you're pretty low key, right? You're not all over social media. You're kind of just, you do your thing. You crush everything. I mean, people that don't know, I hate to bring it up, but Barclays, Hard Rock, you've done them all. How does this make you feel after 8 years, seeing where this is now, and just seeing the potential it has? You realistically, you started it. This is your thing. So how do you feel about this whole thing?
I don't know. I just love it. I mean, I think you get to a point in your life where you just want to play some small role, or hopefully big role, in bettering humanity, and it's a really interesting way to take something that's been a big part of my life, endurance athletics, and turn it into something, fun, challenging, but also constructive at the same time. So I don't know, I love it. It's really fun to be able to share, that perspective, but also the enjoyment that I found over the years, training and running. A lot of this came out of the training and running for weird races, and so I love it. Yeah, it's really rewarding. It's a lot of time, but I don't hesitate at all to put the time in. And I've been a recipient of many good deeds from people over the years at races and all the volunteers, and it's just it's so much fun to give back. And I mean, to the point you made earlier, seeing the smiles on people's faces throughout the event is so cool. and it's this happiness combined with like real pain and suffering. It's a really unique thing that we have and share as a trail running community. I think that the fact that we can all find such enjoyment out of pushing ourselves, but then also doing something
worthwhile. Something. Yeah. No, I think that's good.
It's really cool. And I mean, honestly, when the first year it was just a couple of us, an aid station out of the back of our trunk of our car, for 24 hours, to see it like grow to something that all sorts of people can participate in lots of different ways is really neat. I really had no sort of idea that it could actually get to this point, and I think it'll only grow further. So that's really exciting to me.
Well, I mean, we've seen it grow with what Tara and Sherilyn, what the groups that Suffer Better did in Colorado, the front climbing gym. Man, I've got ideas popping in my head to marry just on our side. It has nothing to do with anything I could do. The night before or Saturday night over at Slackwater, trail managers could put on Beer Me Up for Air. We just sit down and hang out and tell war stories and recovery from Bufa. That's what I was going to say. Because you said it. I mean, the people, you're going up and you're happy. You're going up. It's something that most of us have shared, right? You talk about the Forest Service didn't understand, and Jared, you were saying that Breathe Utah didn't understand. Well, we all understand. So it's that raw smiling when you're going up and down, regardless of how many you put in, right? I mean, really at the end of the day, yes, it matters, but it doesn't.
Yeah. It's so cool too. Like Breathe, they still don't quite understand it. They're amazed and enamored and just like blown away. That athletes would sort of bind together and put in so much time and energy to just help them. I don't know. It's like strangely rewarding for me to see this like just confused, but like this look of wow, there is like goodness in humanity, and that seems to really be manifesting itself through the outdoor community. Initially I would have said just running community, but to see the climbing community wrap their hands around this too really shows that like there's something about athletics and sport in general that there's like goodness in people. So it's neat to see our community play some real positive role here.
No, we talk about it all the time on the podcast, and I know you're bringing in the outdoor community, but just that trail running community in general, I think and I know this is everywhere, but I live in the Wasatch Front or on the Wasatch, and just to see the whole Wasatch Front do these things and get involved, and we all know each other through some way, whether it's in person or something, I think it just makes it that much more enjoyable and more rewarding. Like you guys putting this on, and I'm a race director, and you guys, get the email when someone registers. You hit that registration, you get the email, you're like, yes, and then you see the name, and you're like, yes. It's like that double win, right?
We've been a little bit giddy about all of the. We honestly see every person that registers, and we always text each other with a little woohoo. Look,
so
it's true. Thanks to everybody.
How quick did you guys text when you saw that I registered for the 6? Was it pretty quick?
We don't talk to each other often. No.
Yeah, because you just text. You're like,
it might be pretty quick.
Yeah. No, well, we're going to do everything we can to get people out to the event because, like I said, I'll be there. I don't know Joel's plan. He's not running right now, but
he's already volunteered.
He could be gifted something for Christmas or the quesadilla maker. But it's a big event in the fact of what it takes to put on. So my challenge to everybody out there is just support it. So it's just big. The bigger we make it, I know it's capped at numbers and everything else, but just spreading the word. Social media is such a crazy thing. I mean, you just got to type it in there and tell people, hey, I'm doing this. Who wants to join me?
Put it all for good. Put it to good use.
Yeah, put it for good use, the happy, feely good stuff. And what you guys are doing is awesome. I'm super excited that, number one, you started this because it's really cool. I'm just seeing everybody that's enjoyed RUFA over the years. But on top of that, what it's going to, because I have kids, and I hope someday they have kids, and I want them to not have to drink the air eventually. And then bring it to Ogden was awesome. I was so excited when I first heard. Before you told me, I heard about it, and I was super excited about that because of our community as well. So thanks for you guys for doing this, and all the people that are behind the scenes that we don't know about on the show right now that are doing it as well, because you guys have teams of people that do all kinds of stuff. So that's awesome.
And our families. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it falls on their laps too with the time and effort. So
and they get roped in as well, some way or another.
Oh yes,
some way or another they get roped in.
Whether they want to or not.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
It's like, hey, I'm doing this, and like, okay, what do you need from me then? Might as well tell me now. So what else are we going to talk about? What else are we missing? Do we miss anything? I want to make sure people are informed. I want people to show up. I really want to challenge people in this area to make Ogden if it can't sell out, make it close as possible. Come walk with me for the 6-hour event. Maybe DJ after,
Yes.
Might have to get a Santa suit or something. But it is
We
February
talked a little bit
9th.
about friendly competition between our Grandeur
Yes.
buddies down
Uh-oh.
south.
Oh.
Yeah.
Any
I mean, one thing I'll say too,
I'd like to hear that.
one unique angle I've had on I guess the sport of ultra running is I seem to get into things before they go crazy.
Yeah.
Like hard rock, I got in before it went crazy. Now it's like every human alive wants to get into hard rock, right? Barkley was another
Yep.
one where I seemed to get into it like before everybody knew about
what it was.
I mean, it's only a matter of times before Malin's is that, right? So, folks,
Yeah, do it now.
Sign up
do
for
it
this.
now
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny, to the point that was made earlier, we have wait lists at RUFA Salt Lake, and people saying, I've heard about this for years, I'm just dying to do it, it's the most important thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
Just like people say about a hard rock, and it's like, go sign up for, RUFA Ogden.
Yeah.
Because that will soon be filling up as quickly as we did. So get in on it early.
And I can
folks.
see
Come
the
on.
Ogden one selling out.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
maybe not this year, but in the future for sure. Just knowing the experience, and people that sign up for Malin's this year can do Grandeur next year, and vice versa too. I mean,
Absolutely.
kind of get that double dip, so to say, in it. But I agree with you, Jared. It's getting in on it before everybody else figures it out.
I mean, don't wait until the event is cool and popular.
Yeah.
Get in on that first year that something happens, and
I never thought of
and
that.
be part of it.
First year of the Malin's one. I like that.
Yeah, there's something cool about doing the first year,
Yeah.
I think, too.
That is really cool. And I know people, so the other thing sometimes people say, I'll wait because the first year of the race, you don't know how it's going to be done this, that. But this isn't, you don't have to worry about it for this one. Number one, I know the people that are kind of doing this, right? And the tutelage they're probably getting from you. So it's going to be run well. I don't have any doubts either. No more pressure for you guys. But it's going to be run solid. You're not going to have to worry about anything. And it's not going to be super complex to where, you can see where you need to go from the bottom. So it gives you a pretty good idea right away. And there's going to be other people out there. It's just going to be a fun day. That's the way I'm looking at it. Whether I get one lap or I'm doing the 6 hours, so 1 to 5 laps. We'll throw that just for fun. I'm not going for 5. But it's going to be a fun day, right? I mean, That's a cool thing. Now, you know what I want to see this year? This is a challenge to you. How many total summits for the whole event?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see, because I think we had...
all combined.
I have that data out there. I mean, last year we had a 1.2 million feet of vertical gain, at RUFA Salt Lake, which is really cool.
That's
Back to the
cool.
whole competitive thing. It would be
Yeah.
really fun as Colorado and the Front Range start to latch onto this as well. I see it growing over there.
Yeah.
But there definitely needs to be like a, Wasatch Front versus, Boulder,
Right.
Colorado.
That would be
rivalry
super
here,
cool.
right? So let's be thinking about it. Let's
There's
team up here, Utah and surrounding areas.
There's
and
some-
see what we can do.
There's some hamsters running in the wheels out there,
Oh, yes.
figuring that one out.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm a
But I mean-
soccer guy. And
Yeah.
so they got the Rocky Mountain cut between the Colorado Rapids and Real Salt Lake. So they get a trophy, whoever does best that year between the two teams, they play each other. So that'd be cool to do for this, right? Little running up for Air Cup between the two. You get a trophy, big one.
Yeah, let's see. 2017. I don't have the 18 numbers in front of me, but 2017 we had 449 summits total.
Wow.
449. 1.24 million feet of vertical. Yeah.
Wow.
And initially, when the front approached me, I'm like, I had to think about it for a minute. Like, would it be harder or easier climbing versus running? And definitely the climbers can't keep up with us in terms of vertical gain.
Yeah, that would be,
so that was
would be
a no-brainer.
something. That would be something.
But we should shoot for 2 million feet of vertical between RUFA, Ogden, and Salt Lake.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
That's
easy.
doable.
Let's
Two and
do
a
it.
half?
Totally easy.
Yep.
I'll throw in a few thousand. That's it. That's all I got. So
We'll take it.
So last year if 2017 you did 1.2. Is that what you're saying?
1.24 million feet.
So last year, do you think you did more? Just ballparking it.
We did, and I'm embarrassed I don't have the numbers in front of me. Yeah, but I bet it's a little bit more
Okay.
than that.
So Ogden only has to come up with 500,000,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Realistically.
I mean, what's a 500,000 feet of vertical,
Yeah.
really?
Exactly.
Yeah. Erin Hill signed up, and she does
Erin
that
Hill.
like
she'll
she'll
take care of quite a bit of that
Yeah.
for us.
Yep.
she
She'll
does
take
that
a
every
quarter of
week.
that.
Yeah.
No.
So I'll just me and Erin are on a team, see who can get the most between two people. So she's going to carry it. No, that's really cool. I'm super excited that Ogden's doing it. I'm super excited you guys came on the show. I apologize. Joel, again, is working on our course. That's not anything near what you guys are doing,
We're
but
excited though. Tara and I are both running that in the
We're
morning.
tapering.
Yeah.
are you?
Can you tell we're tapering?
We've been carb loading and tapering
You
for
better
it.
eat some
Ready.
spaghettis. Eat some spaghettis. But yeah, we're going to have all the information on our website, on the show notes as well, where they can register, how to volunteer, all that good information. You know, please spread the word. Let's get this thing out there. Let's get more people into Ogden. If you're in Salt Lake, if you're on the wait list, don't wait till the last minute thinking, if I don't get in, I'll always go to Maylands, because you never know what's going to happen down here, right? It could just Groupon might go crazy and people might register left and right. You never know. The event is February 9th, both locations. Give me a start time for the 24-hour.
Same.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yep.
And then what time for the 12-hour?
7 a.m.
7.
Same.
Okay. And then the 6-hour, 8, 3, and 11. Okay.
Exactly.
So again, Salt Lake Grandeur is pretty much sold out. Plenty of spots open for Maylands. You can hang out with me, all the awesome people down here in Ogden. Joe Grant's going to be here, and the climbing festival. Don't forget about that. Tell your climbing friends, because I know y'all have those as well, to get that one growing, to make this thing just big. Right?
I believe they'll be announcing and offering registration with that soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
heard that
pretty
within
soon.
the next week. Yep.
So keep looking at the running up for our website. As soon as it does become available, we'll also talk about it on our podcast. So stay tuned for more, because this is going to be really cool. Don't miss out on the first year of Ogden if you haven't registered. That's gonna, like Jared said, that's cool, being on the ground level of something, and you can do that. So any parting words for our guests, our hosts, our listeners?
I think we've covered just about everything.
I think so.
yeah.
That's what we want to do. We want this to grow. It's a great cause. I mean, that's the first and foremost. It's a great cause, and then it's just fun, right? So you're throwing money at a great cause, but at the same time you get to have fun, and that's not always the case, right? You got to throw $40 into your car. It's not fun, right? Throw $40 to this, you have a great time. I think that's it. So we got Tara Warren, Sherry Trayer, and Jared Campbell sitting with me here on the Trail Manners podcast. Please check out the show notes. Please register, and if you have any questions, shoot them my way or their way, and let's support this event. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming on.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.